Well, hello, and welcome back to another live Ask Me Anything session titled How May I Serve You Today? I am here almost every weekday now. I think this is my 22nd live stream doing this ever in this format. I have many more scheduled in the days and even weeks ahead. I won't be here this Friday, but I'm here tomorrow as well as today. Normally, I don't know if anyone at all will join me for these sessions, and if so, who. And whoever joins have no clue what we're going to talk about. Now, I have been sending out a couple of personal invitations. For example, Troy McLaughlin on LinkedIn. He says, "Hey, Cliff, it's so great to hear from you, my friend. I'd love to stop by. I appreciate the invite because I know it's genuine." So he said he'd love to stop by, and there's a good chance that Troy McLaughlin will be here today. So we'll see. Matt Munt says, "I've been wanting to jump in on and chat. I've got meetings this afternoon, but hopefully we'll join soon." So I've given him a schedule to future sessions. Matthew Passy says, "I have to run some errands, but I'll try to log in if I'm back in time." So if he gets back from his errands before 2:30 p.m., chances are he might be joining us. And Corey Kohler says, "I've been seeing you do these the past few weeks, and I was actually thinking about jumping on. Perhaps today is the day." And he said he will be here. So we'll see if what manifests. I'm not attached to any particular outcome when it comes to these live streams. But that's what's going on here. I am here for Ask Me Anything. I have a live Zoom call set up. All you do is you come in and join me in the Zoom session. I drag and drop your image or your video right here, and we chat back and forth. You and I having a conversation, and I would be delighted to serve you, support you in any way, shape, or fashion. So no pressure. I'm totally fine just sitting here by myself as well. I am not attached to any particular outcome, but I am going to work on my little page over at cliffravenscraft.com/join. And that's how you join me, by the way, cliffravenscraft.com/join. And I'm just waiting for the first person to join me on Zoom. And until then, I'm going to mute myself. I kind of will share with you a little back what's going on in the background here while I'm waiting for the first person to join. So I happen to be working on the web page at cliffravenscraft.com/join. And right now I'm adding a little button that says live. So I'm wanting to add that to a particular section of the thing here. Oh, here comes Corey Kohler. So I will get back to working on this in just a moment. Image here. Corey, so good to see you joining. I see you getting your audio ready. No rush. 16 by 9, drag and drop. Alrighty. Looks like you're okay. You've unmuted, and can you say something just so I can test the audio on my end?
Yep. How's that?
It's great.
Okay,
Corey,
cool.
Corey, how can I be of service to you today?
You know, I don't really have anything in particular. I was like super curious because I've seen your posts about doing this every day, and I just thought it was intriguing because it's something I've kind of always had in the back of my mind to do is just to go out there and just start talking to people and just figuring it out. And I was kind of just, wanted to check in and see how it was going, and then yeah, I don't know. I can let you know what I'm doing too. It's up, but
Yeah,
I
so
don't
I'll answer the question of what I'm doing is exactly what you're said. I'm just opening up opportunities to open dialogue and conversation with anyone and everyone. No expectations, no attachment. I just want to be of service and support and encouragement to anyone who crosses my path. And I've decided to devote at least 90 minutes each day, Monday through Friday, as long as I'm in town, to doing that. Kind of came out of this idea if money were no object, and I never had to think for a second about financially how am I going to make ends meet. Just what would I do with my life? Would I still work? And if so, what would that look like? And the answer to that question was instantly available to me. I would show up and make myself available to be of support and encouragement to anyone who crosses my path with no attachments to outcomes, no performance. I'm not concerned about how I will be perceived if I set up shop somewhere, whether it's in person somewhere, hosting a workshop or an event, and 2 people show up, 1 person shows up, 30 people shows up, doesn't matter to me. Same with the live stream. I've had one 90-minute session. This is my 22nd 90-minute live stream. Actually, some of them go 2 to 3 or 4 hours. I always will go over if there's still somebody in queue to talk to me at the end of the 90 minutes. And I had one 90-minute session where nobody showed up from the beginning to the end. I just sat here in silence. And you know what? It was great. I got to read a couple of chapters of a book that I've been reading. And I didn't even say anything when I ended the live stream. I just shut it off. I do a little bit of a explainer for those who watch the restream. But I don't do too much of an explainer because I have these little things here. I've got little graphics that I pull up
Hmm.
that tell people what I'm doing. And it's like, listen, if you want to join me on Zoom, by all means, join me, but you don't have to. And so that's what I do. And I have already published 14 amazing conversations that came out of these live streams as episodes of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. And then I have 19 more individual conversations that will actually, from other live streams, that are sitting on my desktop. They have full transcripts. They're all ready to go. They're going to all be unedited, but the actual conversations have been broke up. So I might have 3 conversations in one 90-minute session, but they're all edited to the beginning and the end of each of those conversations with transcripts. And they're just sitting there ready to go as more potentially even daily content for the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. So that is how things are going. And that's what it's all about. And I'm happy to answer any questions or anything about it, or if you want to talk about anything else.
No, that's really interesting to hear. I'm kind of in a similar situation. I'm not doing live, but I've been really doing a lot of YouTube lately, and I kind of started an impromptu podcast a couple months ago, and it's kind of along the lines of like what you know how you started. Maybe not as deep as far as like how would I, what would I do if I didn't have to serve anybody, but it just felt like a natural thing to do. Somebody introduced me to a gentleman named Mike, and we just hopped on like a LinkedIn one day or just a Zoom call and just started talking. And the person that connected us said, "Man, you guys would really get along good, just geeking out on like, future of work and entrepreneurial stuff, kind of the same stuff that you're familiar with." And I said, "You know what? The next time, should we just hit record?" And that's what we did. So we've got a couple episodes in, and then we started with and then he wasn't able to make it for a couple weeks, so then I just had asked a couple other people, and it's just been like really fun to do it. I didn't have a lot of expectations, but so far, it gets a few, some views and some comments, so it seems to be striking a chord. So I'm kind of in a similar vein, although I'm trying to do other things with my YouTube channel too. But no, it's interesting to hear how you're repurposing it, because that was one thing I was wondering. I'm like, I hope he's doing something with that content, because it would seem that to be very useful for you. And is it only going on your podcast stream, or are you putting it on places like YouTube? Are you breaking up video or anything like that, or is it just strictly audio that you're focused on?
Well, the first thing to that I want to add to this is that none of this is for any strategy. There is no marketing purpose for what I'm doing at all.
Okay.
I literally am following my heart, my gut, my intuition, that just being the natural, authentic person of who I am, I just want to show it. And as far as I'm concerned, if, for example, right now, there are 3 people watching the live stream right now that I'm aware of. But if those 3 people were not there, and nobody was on the live stream for the entire 90 minutes, but you popped into this Zoom call and we had a conversation. I don't care if it's 7 minutes, 70 minutes, doesn't matter to me at all. If you and I have a conversation, that is the only thing that was meant to happen for that call. Now, if anything additional comes out of it, it's all just blessings and icing on the cake, and it's just like God, the universe, just bringing additional things just to say, hey, Cliff, let me bring this across some other people's paths, let them see what you're up to, and I might send some more people your way. But that's not what this is all about. I'm here for you. Matter of fact, many of the conversations that I've had will not actually make it into the Cliff Ravenscraft show. But it is there are so many conversations that I've had where it's like, oh my gosh, I know for a fact that was valuable for that person and anybody else who was watching on the live stream. And if anybody makes it through the replay, that was valuable. And it's so valuable that I can't not publish that conversation as an episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft show. And I only do that after each live session for the conversations where that's what's felt.
That's really interesting. And I think that like when I hear you say that, it's definitely something that I've been trying to achieve, is just to be as authentic as possible. So I really like hearing you say that. The tricky part for me is I've been marketing for so long, and you know this. I mean, we talked about this when I was on your podcast a couple months ago. It's like from like the mid 2000s, I've been doing this marketing stuff. So it's like it's sometimes it's really hard to separate the marketing guy from like, you know what, I'm just a human and I want to help you, right? Because when I'm out in the world in person with people, I just get naturally enthusiastic about like, hey, you should try this, or you should try this. You want to do this? Maybe this is something you could do. Like I'm just sharing, but I'm not necessarily doing it with an angle. But there's just something where I just have to I'm just trying to figure out, or at least be disciplined enough to try to let the marketing brain go and just let myself fall into the content, right? Because even when I'm trying to make content, I'm still trying to like, okay, make sure if I'm doing this YouTube video, I should have a call to action in the first couple of minutes, and I need to do this, and I want to make sure that my title's optimized. And it's like I'm trying to find that balance of like, okay, what is me authentically helping, and what is me being a, smart with my content so that more people see it. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's
Yep.
interesting to hear you talk about how you're approaching this. It's
Yeah,
definitely helpful.
and there's no wrong way as far as I'm concerned to approach whatever it is you decided, how you decide to invest your time, effort, and energy. And if coming up with great calls to actions and things that maximize your return on investment of time, effort, and energy, and if that has something to do to promote something that you offer that's of value to others, as far as I'm concerned, there's no wrong way to do content creation. And you can do all of that and be incredibly authentic. What I am dealing with in my own life is that I'm testing out the waters of going down a path that I don't see many people going down, and that is, what if I trusted God or the universe to divinely bring every next client, every next source of revenue without me intentionally mixing my own effort in the whole pot? What if I was to just divinely trust in the orchestration of the flow of life? Now, do I recommend everyone else go do this? Not necessarily, but it's what I'm doing.
Okay. No, it's brave. It's very trusting. Faith is the key word probably in this entire approach. I mean, you still, and then there's the angle of like you still have to, I'm trying to think of some Bible stories that kind of talk about this stuff, but like I mean, you still have to do something, right? Like you can't just like lay on your couch and hope that things come to you. You still had to hit record. You still had to um put it out there like, hey, I'm doing this live stream every day. So I mean, there's still a
Nope,
minimal
nope.
amount of
So,
effort, right?
so
No?
here's, first of all, episode number 787 of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. By the way, I just want to pause for just a moment and say, Matthew, I see that you are there. Thank you for joining me on Zoom. Are you cool to wait about for a few minutes before we interact? Just give me a
Oh
thumbs
yeah,
up if
I'm
you're
I'm in a rush. I'm just here to check it out and see what's going on.
sweet. Cool. All right. So okay, back to Corey then. So, Corey, episode 787 of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. I would encourage you to listen to that episode because it deals specifically with the idea of is it required that we take action to make money or income flow to us? And it's a pretty powerful lesson that I have come to believe in wholeheartedly. Now, technically speaking, is there action in required for money to flow to us? And I would argue, based upon what I came out with at the end of episode 787, is yes. And that is the action is setting an intent of what I desire and focusing on that desired outcome. So for me, I'm very clear that I still want to earn income to pay all of the necessary bills that are associated with the cost of living, of having my business and having the family things that I've got going on in my life and the way I want to show up in the world. So I have a very set intention about what that income is. I have even ideas in my mind of how that money might come to me. I'd love to have one or two new one-on-one coaching clients each month. Each of them paying somewhere between $15,000 paid in full for the year, all the way up to $50,000, $100,000 paid in full for a year. I would love that. I would love to have people come to my workshops that Stephanie and I are hosting live, which, by the way, we're actually even testing out the model of our next workshop is pay what you want. And people could choose to come for free, which is perfectly fine. And I could see how, it's like these are the ways that I see. If there's anything, I focus on a reality in a future and an eventuality that 1 or 2 new clients are going to come along each month, and a handful of people, whatever that actually means, a number of people will show up to our live workshops. Those are the 2 products that I'm focused on. Those are the things that I'm creating. But even those, I'm trusting to divine timing. I'm not aggressively doing things from a marketing angle because I feel any scarcity about whether or not people will just show up. So nothing I'm doing is with the intent to market my next coaching client or even my workshops. And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with marketing those things. It's just not what I'm doing. And by the way, I've shared this multiple times in previous conversations with other people. I'm not in a place financially where one has the cushion to do that. It just so happens I have plenty of equity in my home, and I happen to have a home equity line of credit. And if a month goes by without a new client, I've got enough equity in my home. I can float us for a couple of months to test the waters of this. And I don't even see a reality where this isn't going to pay off. Now, here's what happened. I shut down, by the way, my paid mastermind groups in June. It's like I want to shut down everything that's not fully aligned with the kind of work that I want to do next. And so I'm like, I'm going to start offering these live streams. And I'm not going to do any teaching. There's no sales pitch. This isn't a sales funnel. There's no marketing. I'm just showing up. I'm just serving. And then all of a sudden, guess what happens? First of all, I knew that I wanted to recreate what I did in the Clubhouse days. And that is, I want to be able to stream my conversations on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So we're on all 3 of those platforms right at this very minute. I wanted to have a Zoom call where I could bring somebody up, just exactly like what you've joined here. And I wanted to be able to have this dialogue. And as far as I'm concerned, if this is all that happens, it's more than enough. Now, here's what I will also say. I found something that I love to do so much that I would be willing to do this all day long for free. And I will. There's no charge for this. There's no understanding of how this is going to be monetized in any way. I don't turn monetization even on my YouTube channel. So it is just showing up and serving. Here's what's happened, though. I've had people, there's been, let's just say, 9 different individuals who were logged into either YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. They're scrolling and saw that Cliff Ravenscraft is live. They saw the little message on the screen, clicked on the join Zoom button, came in, and had a conversation with me. 9 different people in the previous 21 sessions said this: Cliff, I've been following you probably for 10 or 15 years. And if I'm honest, I haven't probably listened to or seen anything that you've done in the past decade. But today, I see you're doing this. And are you no longer teaching podcasting anymore? What's going on? And we're having dialogue. And how many of those people might potentially become clients doing the kind of coaching that I do today? I have no idea. But it will naturally occur if it's meant to happen. And so new dialogues are happening. Here's another thing. I just reached out to a handful of people, not to market this thing, but because I felt led. I felt inspired today to craft a little message, which, by the way, you and Matthew are 2 of about 30 recipients of that message that I sent today. It basically says, hey, I would like to personally invite you to this. And I've got a bunch of people who said, Cliff, sorry, not able to join. But hey, I want to let you know, I've been watching your live streams. I've been checking in and out from time to time. Man, that's great stuff that you're doing. And I do hope to join you one day. And that's the overwhelming majority of the 30 people that I reached out to said, I've been seeing these. And it's not why I did it, but man, it's very clear that just because I followed what I wanted to do, that makes my soul sing, and the way that I just ultimately want to authentically show up without the intention of marketing is by default getting my message out much better than all of the intentional marketing efforts that I was doing previously, because I'm like, if I don't do this, I'm not going to have my next income. So what I'm getting at is I found that the next clients, the next workshop participants, the next whatever, all of that will come as a natural flow of what I am calling aligned or inspired action. I will only take actions that are inspired rather than actions that are required to react to some felt lack. And that's what's been massively different in my life.
It's very appealing to me, you know, just to be light, because I kind of feel like I've made it to this point for the same reasons. Like I mentioned with the podcast that I just started out of the blue like a month and a half ago. And then also just being kind of pulled towards, just podcasting like I was way back when I first started. I did podcasting way back in, the mid 2000s just because it just felt like the right thing to do. I always wanted to be like a radio personality ever since I was like a little kid. I mean, literally. So it's just interesting. And then as I've been doing like this newsletter for the last couple of years, it's like there always felt like there was a piece missing. And the more that I started jumping on, I kind of focused on LinkedIn earlier this year. The more I jumped on calls with people, the more I started to realize, like, oh, like I need to be talking to people more, and people need to see me, because you don't get the whole picture when you're just reading like my email, right, or my newsletter. So I'm like, okay, I need to be more on the YouTube, and then people get more excited. There's more of an energy transfer as well, just by being together. And then I was on your podcast, I was on a few other people's podcasts, and I'm like, why am I not doing more of that, right? So I totally understand what you're doing, and it's like it's kind of making me think like maybe there's another step yet. Maybe I should try doing live or not. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna or not, but it's just
Yeah.
like I like the way that you're approaching that, because I don't know. It just feels right. That's all I know right now.
Yeah.
Is that feeling. I'm like, oh, that really sounds very good, And like you said, the rest can work itself out, rather than trying to come up with like a pitch or something to try to talk to an ideal client or whatever it is. Just start talking. I don't know. But
Yeah.
either way, I don't want to suck up all the time, but it's definitely given me something to think about. So I like the serendipitous approach.
I love
I
it.
really do.
I love it. And by the way, I did tell you episode 787 of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show, and I was wrong. It was actually episode 786. The title is called "The Money Will Come When I'm Aligned."
All right.
Yeah, 786. I don't want you to go and unnecessarily listen to an episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show that may be out of alignment with what I shared. So that one is the episode. Real quickly before I move on to Matthew, I'd love to hear like what's been going on in your world. You and I had a couple coaching sessions a couple months back, and just love a quick update on what you're doing professionally right now.
Yeah, when we talked, I was still in a little bit of a trying to figure out what I was going to do next. Like I was going to try to transition, or I'm in this phase of like, going from Google Ads guy, which, I still have my clients. I didn't just dump everybody and and totally go all in. But I'm just like I mentioned a little bit earlier, like I'm just kind of feeling my way. And it just feels like I really like the message that I've been putting out there with my Redefining Retirement newsletter. And it seems to resonate with people. I still haven't found the right way to kind of monetize that. And again, I don't want to be like, again, I want to do it authentically, right? So I'm still kind of looking for that. And I'm just, I started the YouTube channel. I've been doing some podcasts. So it's just the YouTube channel is Redefining Retirement X. It's just my name. So I just started posting like really, long form conversations that I've been having with other people. Like one of them is kind of a career coach kind of a person. I've had uh, a ghostwriter, but the theme is just Gen X people that have transitioned in their life, different occupations. The gentleman I had on last week, Mark Wigington, he's like 60 years old, in his 60s, I should say. I should say he's 60 years old, but we just talked about the seasons of life, right? Like where you have like, your 20s, you don't really know what the hell's going on. You're just kind of like, you know, doing stuff, right? You're figuring stuff out. And then you get in the 30s and you kind of get this new thing, like you get this path and you go on this career path. And then you get in your 40s and then you're like, okay, maybe that's not what I should be doing, and then now you go through this transition phase and you start looking ahead. And now he's talking his season of life is now he's moving into this retirement phase, although he doesn't plan to retire, right? And that's kind of like the whole theme of everything that I talk about is like just finding something that you don't ever care if you retire from. So I'm just kind of staying along that path, and that's the kind of content that I'm trying to put out there is just, how do people or make a living with, the skills and the experiences that they have. And I guess my podcast and the content that I'm trying to put out there is just trying to show people what's possible, because I had a lot of friends over the years. I've had a lot of people over the years where they just think like, oh my God, I guess I'm stuck till I retire, like I'm just gonna have to do this. And then when I went through my transition, like when I was, early 2000 teens or whatever, like 2013 when I went self-employed, and this, you had the same kind of a situation. I became kind of an evangelist for this, like, oh my God, I can't believe it. It was such a weight off my back that it was like, oh, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do how it was prescribed to me, like all the years. So I guess that's kind of like the message that I'm just kind of following, just so the things I do are around that theme, and just trying to figure out how I can earn money around that. And again, battling with my marketing brain and my authenticity brain and my money making brain. I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Well, I
that
hope
is the gist.
I hope you'll find a way for all of those things to merge into one brain that's cohesive. And like I said, it's very clear what I'm sharing with you is my own path of what I've chosen to focus on and how I've decided to focus on it these days. It's not the right way. It's just the way that's aligned for me in this season of my life. And I think it's very possible that you could be fully authentic, fully genuine, and fully monetized to the hilt. I think all of
Yeah.
that's possible.
Yep. I do too. And I feel like I definitely feel like I'm moving in that direction, and it's like it feels like it's going in the right direction. Obviously, it's, the bumpy road, and you're taking detours, and then one day you're in a bad mood and you're like off why am I doing this? But in general, over the last couple months, I feel like I'm moving in the right direction. So,
Well, the one area that I love helping people with the most is getting rid of I can't get rid of the bumpy roads, but I definitely do excel in helping people get rid of the whole missed opportunities of an entire day because you're in a bad mood.
okay. Well,
So,
yeah, I definitely Um, I go through phases, but a lot of times I can deal with it with a walk, or I can, there's ways that I have to get rid of it, or to move on. So I'm not totally, but no, I know we've definitely talked plenty of times, so I know where you're going, and I do still reference the notes and the information that you sent to me. I always go back to that just to kind of think about it, and I still poke around in the New Earth a New Earth Eckhart Tolle book or whatever that you recommended. So I definitely kind of keep that stuff handy, you know.
yeah.
So
I just finished another book. I recall just how dense A New Earth is, and it is an
mhm.
incredibly dense book. By the way, I would have never recommended A New Earth to you had I not noticed that book was already on your bookshelf in one of your videos. And I just assumed that it was on your bookshelf because you were a fan of the book. And I'm like, well, dude, pull that book out and go deeper into it. But I will say, given the latest statements that you gave me in our most recent conversations, I would say put A New Earth to the side, and a book that might be more beneficial for you right now is Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Much easier read. And a next logical step right after that one would be his next book called Living Untethered. So I would read it in that order: Untethered Soul, and then Living Untethered. Those books are much less dense, and Eckhart Tolle's a little his concepts are pretty intense.
It's like the feeling I get is like if I don't sit down and just sit there and like really focus and immerse myself in the book and revisit it and reread a paragraph here and there, it's like I don't it's just it's difficult, like it's just
Yeah, no, it's a dense book. Untethered Soul, you will have no problems with that, and you'll start to, if you haven't already figured out that you have a roommate in your head that is constantly giving you a narration of every event every day and stuff like it. It's a pretty fascinating. The first few chapters are enlightening, to say the least.
Oh, definitely. Thank you for that. I will for sure be adding that to my Kindle in about 10 minutes.
Awesome.
Right
Corey,
now. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today. You're welcome to join me anytime. I'm like, as long as I'm not out of town, which I've got a couple of things coming up here soon, but most days I'm here Monday through Friday for a minimum of 90 minutes, and you're invited to join me anytime.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I definitely, I'll jump on at some point again. So thanks again, Cliff. Have a good rest of the show, and I'll just kind of go off in the corner here and keep you on the side. So
Sounds
listen
good.
in.
All right, we're going to bring Matthew up next. But before I talk to you, Matthew, I've got somebody. It's just says Zoom user. Is that Christy Sanborn?
Hey, Cliff. How are you? It is Christy. How are you?
I thought it was you. Hey, do you mind if I talk to Matthew and then you bring you up? Is that cool?
I'm happy just to hang out here and listen. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad you are here. Thank you for joining me today. All right. So, Matthew, how can I be of service to you today?
I don't know if I have anything specific. I just, got the invite, wanted to see what this is all about. Loved the last time that we chatted and thought, why not jump in and see what was going on and see if there was anything I could offer as well.
Excellent. Well, find out what this is all about. Have you found out what this is all about? Do you have any question? Any comment?
I'm starting to understand based on what you were just saying that you kind of shut down your paid mastermind and you're kind of offering this now as like a weekly live free stream, which is very cool and actually something that I'm starting to plan for and organize to kind of offer a very similar thing. Tech support for tech and, other support for podcasters through these kinds of meetings. So yeah, just enjoying being here.
Awesome. Yeah. And just for clarity for anybody who's watching the live stream or replay, it's a daily thing for me. So Monday through Friday, 90 minutes a day. Cool. And that's a minimum. So I typically, if I don't have anything scheduled at 1 o'clock, I usually start these at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And if I don't have anything going in my afternoon coaching slot from 3:30 to 5, I'm willing to stay all the way until 5 o'clock. So it could be up to 4 or 5 hours a day. I just want to show up and do the one thing that makes my soul come alive, which is to be of support and encouragement to anybody that comes across my path. So that's what this thing's all about. But it's a place where I'm offering free coaching. I'm offering free brainstorming sessions. I'm offering, do you want to talk about clarity on next steps? I'm offering, do you just want to have a conversation about what's going on in your life with somebody who is fully present and will listen? If any of that resonates with you, we can talk about anything you want.
Good to know. Yeah, no, right now I'm nothing is really popping into mind specifically. So
all right, very cool. Well,
good to know this is here.
Absolutely. Feel free to join me anytime. And if you ever want to pop in here and just raise your hand in the Zoom, I'll see that or whatever. And I would be delighted to support or encourage you in any way moving forward. All right, let's bring Christy up here next. Christy, how are you today? How can I be of support or encouragement to you?
Okay, Cliff, thank you for having me. This is like so beautiful what you're putting out here. I expect nothing less though from you. I feel like we don't know each other personally, although I feel like I've been on your journey with you, not the whole time, but at different parts of my life, I've found you. And I've been so grateful for that. Way back when, years ago, probably, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago, I remember crying to my husband one night that I wanted to have my own podcast, but I didn't know how to do it and where to start. And I was upset, and he said, "Well, don't worry, just take your time and do some research." And I think he got me like the Podcast for Dummies book or something like that, and I read through that, and then I stumbled across you, and you were back then giving out so much free advice about how to do it and how to set it up, and I just thought, wow, who is this guy? Like, he's just so knowledgeable, so helpful. So here we are today, and um wow, I mean, I saw the message in my messenger today, and I just want to tell you thank you. You know, I've been able to. I have a radio show here, and I live in Savannah, Georgia. So I'm so thankful to be have a platform that I can use to share goodness. It's a parenting advice show that I host here in Savannah, Georgia, once a week on Fridays, and I've been interviewing different types of people, a lot of parents, but we do talk about inner child work and self healing and your upbringing and boundaries and all the things that I really am obsessed with when it comes to just human beings in general. So it's funny that you and I are here now together again. It's no longer a podcast for me, although it was for many years. Now it's a radio show and it's live. And just like you and I here now with the others on the call, there's something so magical and powerful about live,
I love
isn't it?
live.
So do I. So do I. There's no editing. There's no hesitating. It's just, let's just hash it out. Let's just go there. And I think this is again just a brilliant way to show up for the people that want your advice, and here you are giving it. So it's awesome.
I love that.
Fully support. Hmm.
I love the fact that you said we don't know each other that well. You know, and I feel like I know you as well as I know a majority of people that I'm connected to in social media, because you are a prolific poster on Facebook.
Yes.
And you're consistently over all of these years in my
Yeah.
timeline. And I want to mirror something back to you. And that is that probably wouldn't make any difference at all. I would have not even noticed you, because there's lots of people that I see, and I see them over and over and over again. When you got the maximum of 500 Facebook friends, it's like there's tons of people I've never really connected with. The reason, though, that you every time I see you, it stands out, it's not necessarily the quality of the content that you're posting, it's because of who you are. And it is that you may feel like, Cliff, you and I have only interacted, and if I had to guess off the top of my head, like me and you communicating with one another over the last 10 years, I would say it's been 5 to 7 times. All right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
I remember all 5 to 7 times. That's
Yes.
the key. When you are somebody that someone will remember, and it reminds me of a Maya Angelou quote. It says, when you die, nobody will remember you for all of your trophies, all your success, and all of your achievements and all this other stuff. The only thing that people will remember about you is how you made them feel. And
Yeah.
what I can tell you is, in the 5 to 7 times that you and I have interacted in about a decade or so, I've always felt seen, appreciated, and I've always felt welcomed just in your interaction, the way that you engage. And it's crazy how that is a rare thing in our world today, with as many connections as we have. And I just wanted to mirror that back to you.
Oh, well, thank you for that. I heard that, and I appreciate that, and that means a lot to me. I think when you show up authentically, whether you're all done up and you look your best, or you literally just rolled out of bed and you feel the need to share some content or share a vision or a story, that's what people connect to. And that was you for many years, right? Behind the mic, before there was video and all that. It was just you in your rawness connecting and sharing and not and no shame behind it. Like here I am. I remember still too, like hearing you talk about birthday cakes and how you were like, why are we making such a big deal about a birthday cake? Why do we have to celebrate with a cake? Can't we just sing happy birthday? Like these are just such great topics that we should be talking about and sharing, and maybe someone else will connect with you on those topics, or go with you to those places that are. I remember too reaching out to you many years ago, which I still echoes in my mind. When I think of you, I think about the Boundaries book and how you recommended that I read the book about boundaries, because I was struggling with my mother-in-law at the time, not knowing how to handle our relationship, or how to show up for her as my highest self, the highest version of myself. I didn't know how to do that, and I was coming up short. I was frustrated. And you said, it sounds like a boundary issue. And I thought, wow, what does that even mean? And you said, read the book Boundaries. I think you'll find a lot of value in it. And wow, like just a game change, life changing advice. And I can say with full, honesty and just realness here, that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And that's different all the time, right? Isn't it in life? You just never know who your teacher is going to be. But if you're asking for help and you're asking for advice and you really want it so that you can be better, it's not to make somebody wrong. It's to make you better, right? I need help. I need help. So I need somebody to help me be better. And there you were. And so I think in life we meet each other at different times, right, to share. So maybe I'm here to share with somebody today. I'm so happy to do so. If I can in any way add value to what you're doing, it would be an honor to do so.
Awesome. Well,
Yes.
I'd love to ask you, how did you get into radio, and what's that been like for you?
Thank you for asking. So we moved to Savannah from New Jersey 4 years ago, and I've been doing my podcast. I had a few podcasts that were awesome. Finally figured out how to do it. Just so happened I live right next door to a college student that went to NYU back in New Jersey, who was going to school to be a sound engineer. So he ended up being our sound engineer for the podcast. Like, couldn't ask for a better situation. So he helped us with that, and then I stopped doing that for a while. Moved here. It was always on my vision board. I'm a very big vision board person, still am, still have them hanging in my bedroom closet that I look at daily. And every vision board for every year in the last probably 6 years says, I want my own radio show. I want my own morning radio show. By the way, I still want that. This one is an afternoon show, but I've been saying it and wishing it and hoping for it for a while. And I just so happened to run into a gentleman at the dog park here in Savannah. He had his dog, I had mine, older gentleman. We would have nothing else in common probably to talk about other than our dogs. And I had this weird intuition that he was a writer. So I trust those weird vibes that I always go through and I always express. I didn't used to, as you know. So I said, I have this feeling that you're a writer. And he said, yes. How did you know that? I said, I don't know. I just had a weird feeling. And he said, I am a writer and I'm also a radio host. And I said, oh my gosh, wow. So we talked a little bit. He told me what he did. He said, well, if you have an idea for a show, I can help you pitch it to the team. So that's what happened. I had an idea for a show. I have had one, and I pitched it and they liked it, and here we are. So it was easy to get on. I never went to college. I don't know anything about quote unquote communication. I never studied it or anything like that. I study people. I do study emotions and communicating, and I try to find my own voice daily, which I have finally found. And so anyway, here I am now, and I have this show, and I love that I can just have people on in the studio, Cliff. The acoustics are awesome. Everything's right there. I can take those audio clips, which I love to do, and take them and use them after the show to take those links and make reels out of them and stuff like that. So that's actually something I'd love to ask you about. Do you see any value still in posting YouTube shorts or reels, or where do you see the most impact, I should say? Where do you think is getting the most views, or how do you get your content out there to a broader audience today?
Well, the first thought that comes to my mind as I hear that question is that's something that I never pay any attention to at all. What is the latest trends? What's working? What's the most effective? What's all of this other stuff? I've never been a metrics person from day one. It's just don't ask me to, I mean, there's probably, here's what I know. There are 15 things that I could do to ensure that more than 2 people are out there watching this live stream. I don't care about any of them. None of them feel aligned for me. For me right now, the only person that exists in my world is Christy, and I'm here having this conversation, and I don't need thousands of people or hundreds of people or tens of people to witness this. I'm here. Yes. I created this environment, and I'm glad this is happening. And if anybody else comes across this, that's awesome. Now, with that being said, is there value? Yes, absolutely there's value. If that feels aligned for you, if you would like to take some of your time, effort, and energy to repurpose and gain even more return on investment of the time you invested with those conversations, that you think it could benefit more people, get you more exposure, if that's something that's important to you, all of these other things. Yeah. And I would say anything that you do. And the question is, you have to ask yourself, well, how much of a return on my investment of time, effort, and energy do I need to get to make this worth it? So for me, how much time, I want to share with you, there was about 3 weeks ago on a Monday, it was like my 8th or 9th time of doing one of these 90-minute sessions. I started at 1 p.m. and I ended at 2:30 p.m. and 0 people joined me on that live stream.
Wow.
Not one person. And I think on the live stream, because my thing tells me how many people are watching on the different platforms, and I think on average it was somewhere between 1 to 5 people throughout the 90 minutes was actually, coming in and out of the live stream as far as on the watching side of it. And if you were to ask me, was that a worthy investment of my time? The answer is yeah. I think I think about the number of people who have come to me and says, Cliff, you know what? Here's what I want to do, but here's what I'm afraid of. What if I actually put this out and nobody comes? That would be terrible. What if I put this out and I'm hoping lots of people will come, and what if people see that nobody came? How will they perceive me? I'm afraid of how I will be judged by others. I'm afraid people how can I manage their perception of my credibility? How can, and so many conversations I've had with so many people, and I'm like, you know what I have? I now can actually share with them a link to that live stream. And I said, go watch it. It didn't kill me.
Yeah. Right.
I'm still alive. I still have people. I showed up the next day, and people showed up, and nobody mentions, like, Cliff, I watched yesterday, and I didn't know if I still wanted to talk to you because it seems like you got the plague. Nobody wants to talk. That's not how this works. No. And so for me, if I were going to take something, so I could take the live stream of these, or I could take these live streams, and if I wanted to, I could pay for Opus Clip. Are you familiar with Opus Clip?
No.
Okay, so let me look up Opus Clip. I'm going to get you the URL.
Okay, thank you.
Did they get bought? Oh, no, Descript
Wow.
is just, no, it didn't. Descript actually paid for an ad for people who are searching for Opus Clip. So it's it's called opus.pro, opus.pro.
Okay.
opus.pro. So this service, you pay a fee for it, but what you can do is you take a video link from YouTube and you paste the link in, and it will take the recording of my live stream, and it will using artificial intelligence find the most likely catchy statements and moments from the live stream, and edit those into 60-second, 90-second video clips that can be shared on TikTok and Shorts and Reels and all that other stuff. And so, yeah,
That's
you
cool.
could do that. And did I play with it? Yeah. And then the question is, what's the maximum? I never really, again, for me, I don't care about maximums and stuff like that. But when I did it, it's always nice to know that, hey, I came across you today. I hadn't followed you in several years. And then this reel came up, or this Facebook story came up, and you said this. And as far as it doesn't matter to me that reel got 23 views or 230 views or 230,000 views. What's really cool is somebody that hadn't been thinking about me over the last decade, but used to think very highly of me many years ago, has no idea what I'm up to today, is now aware of what I'm up to today. And I genuinely care about the one person at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too. It feels so good to be present.
It does. It does. And it's for me, it's oxygen, and I love it because of the world we live in with the AI fake content generation season of life that we have today. And full disclosure, I use AI every day. I love AI. It helps me do things I would have never been able to accomplish on my own previously. But what I will say is that in a generation where pretty much everybody out there is afraid to allow their unrefined aspects of who they are, their unpolished characteristics and personality quirks, I'm on full display here. I did 14 podcast conversations from these live streams and published those to the Cliff Ravenscraft Show, one episode at a time. But then after that, I went in and did and I did 2 different episodes where I did what's called a higher self-reflection of my review of each of those conversations. And so what I did is I went into ChatGPT and said, I'd like you to look at this transcript of this unedited conversation I had during a live stream. And I said, I would like a higher self-reflection and review. Specifically, was there anything that I said in this conversation that was not true or was not aligned with my values and how I desire to show up and be in the world today? And then it gave me a topic by topic. It's like, here, Cliff, these are the things that were aligned. This is what you did well. Here's why this is a worthy of publishing, and it's in unedited, put it out there. Yet, here's some areas for refinement. Here's some areas for growth. Here are areas where you could find more alignment in future conversations. And I'm like, oh, this is great. And then I'm like, well, why don't I actually record a podcast episode and then and it ended up having to be 2 of them, but I did 2 podcast episodes, a total of like 3 hours of content of me sharing all of the things that I said that were absolutely out of alignment. And I did it because I wanted people to see that you don't have to be perfect. You can show up with your imperfect self. You can show up unrefined.
Yeah.
Because if you wait until you've got everything all figured out and you're perfect, you'll never serve anyone.
No. And people can't relate to perfect.
Yeah.
They really can't. They're so bored with that. It's just like, all right, keep swiping. Can't really. I know I'm that way. I'm like, unfollow. I unfollow all day long. I'm like, I can't follow this person anymore. It's just, you're not, I don't, you're right. We're all in search of that, the the real things. The real things that we connect on, the stories don't get old. We like to hear someone else's stories so we can connect.
Yeah.
I think connection is something everybody's really looking for today. First, you have to connect with you, though, right? Connect here first.
Yeah. And that's a challenge. I think that's why a lot of people are turning to AI to create content for them, because they're not in touch with themselves.
No. And can I tell you, I don't know if you share the same I don't know if this has happened to you in the past or not, but I know I have personally asked a lot of people to come on to my radio show, and I've had a lot of people say no.
I said
Probably
no to you.
I know, and I adore it. I don't mind. It's wonderful. It doesn't. It's not something that it doesn't feel aligned to you, and I
That's
appreciate that so much.
yeah.
Absolutely.
The thing is the topic of the show is parenting,
Yes.
and I'm like, parenting is, first and foremost, there's a lot of thoughts I have on parenting that are hot
Yes.
takes, super controversial, that I'm not even interested in sharing with the world because I don't need anybody to adopt my philosophies and my thoughts on parenting. And
Yes.
they're not standard accepted ideas. And so, number one, I don't want to put out a bunch of resistant, controversial topics. It's just not aligned. And it's
Right.
also, it's like, I love my kids. I
Yes.
absolutely adore my kids. My kids are so amazing. I love
Yes.
spending time with my kids. All this other stuff, but parenting has never been, I'm going to say it here. Parenting, being a dad, has never been a primary role that has been the highest priority for me.
Yes.
That's controversial for a lot of people. It's like, listen, when Stephanie and I decided to have children, I said, I don't want to raise children. I want to raise responsible young adults who will go out into the world and contribute to the world at large. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the way that I've always approached my parenting. And
Yes.
and yeah, but I have a lot of people in my life where it's like very clear. It's like, listen, family's first, family above everything, parenting
Yeah.
above everything. And I say all of this, and my wife will, if she were listening, she goes, listen, okay, he says that, but he's a really good dad. And my kids would probably argue, but my dad was a really good dad. But in spite of that, I can tell you right now, it's like when I wake up every day, I'm not thinking, I wonder if there's any way I can serve my kids today. And
Right.
they're all young
Right.
adults today. And I don't feel guilt. I don't feel shame about that. It's like,
No.
if my kids need me, they know how to reach me, and I'll show up and I'll serve and stuff like that. But I'm like, how can I go and quite frankly, here's the situation. I want to engage with people who absolutely respect who I am and the value and insight that I have that might be of value to them, and they would love to ask me a question, and they will they whether they agree or disagree or whatever. Man, I really value the fact that Cliff gave me his idea, his perspective, blah blah blah.
Sure.
I'm going to tell you, my kids are not in that category. They're just not.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
okay. That's okay.
Yep.
That
It is.
my kids are perfect as they are. And if
Yes.
they ever want my advice, by all means, come and ask. And all this other stuff. But anyway, so when you invited me
Yes.
to come on your radio show, I'm like, no, I don't want to talk about parenting.
So I will tell you, it's such an intimate topic that a lot of people have a hard time discussing, and that's why I know I'm hitting the mark.
Yeah.
I know I've been called to do this specific type of work because of the people that are so shy to come on. Because they're like, oh my God, what are people going to say? What if I say something I shouldn't say? What if I talk about discipline or something like that? And it just comes off wrong. And people are so afraid to talk about what goes on behind their closed doors at home.
Yeah.
Super afraid. So much shame. Mm-hmm.
I'm almost
Yes.
also concerned about like what passes your radio program person's content filters.
Yeah. Well, it's like language wise, you mean? Or
yeah, language wise.
Or just political stuff?
You won't get me to talk about politics.
No, I don't talk about any of that stuff.
Yeah,
but
nothing political. But no, it's just like for example, one of the things, I came home from Tony Robbins' UPW, and one of the things that we implemented is that we basically have this saying that you effing rock. All right. So only we don't say effing. I'm saying that just for the benefit of people on the live stream. But, our kids, let's see here. I would say, okay, one of our 3 children curses more than any sailor has ever cursed. I mean, it's just, a second of our kids, it's not. I mean, things will come out of her mouth that would not be acceptable for a lot of people. And then our youngest is like, whatever. So there's a lot of language that's free flowing and all this other stuff. And
Right.
when I grew up, that would be unacceptable and all this other stuff. Not once have I ever thought to correct them, to ask them to not say that, all this other things and things like that. Ironically, though, you put them in public with a group of other people where that's not preferred language or whatever, they're very, very respectful to other people, and not because they've been told. It's just our kids have a conscience, and I did not give them their morality. That's the other thing. Here I am telling you that I don't want to talk about parenting, but I'm sitting there talking about parenting.
Cliff, I have an opening next Friday. Somebody just canceled. You let me know. I'd love to have you. But no, what you're saying is exactly why I started the show, to discuss the conscious parenting, not just parenting, conscious parenting, seeing this person as a human. They're little humans, okay? And they have their own ideas of everything. And they, I believe, are our best teachers. Our kids teach us. We don't teach them. They come to teach us. And we should be paying attention to what they're showing us, and parts of ourselves that need, to be refined and healed. And it's just such a gift to be in a child's life, whether you're an uncle, a grandparent, a parent. May I ask you something too? Just curious. It's a personal question, but I'm curious, on your phone's wallpaper, your cell phone.
Yep.
Is there a picture there? Is there a picture that you have as a wallpaper? Who's the picture of?
That's my wife.
Yes, sir.
Now,
as it should be.
Well,
yes.
hold on. So it's an
Love.
interesting question, because it just happens to be my wife right now.
Yes.
I actually have it set up to where every hour on the hour it switches to a different random photo from a photo album, and many of them are pictures of my kids as well. But it's all family, and my dog. So it's either it's going to be me with my kids, me with my mom and dad, me with my wife, any of my kids individually on their own, or my dog.
That's nice. That's beautiful.
So why do you ask that question?
Well, here's what I'm going to share here. I believe personally, this is just my belief, but it does work for me. I'm a very happily married person, not bragging, but I'm very proud of my marriage. And I do have 2 beautiful kids, but my kids don't make the wallpaper on my phone. They do not. My husband does. My husband is the wallpaper. My husband always comes before my kids. Yeah. I adore my kids. My husband's first. Well, first it's me, it's God. It's me, it's God, right? God, me, myself, right? And then my husband, and then the kids. The kids do not trump my husband ever. Never. Yeah. As much as I adore them and love them, and I do. But I notice a lot of times when things are out of balance with people, it's because they're putting the kids above the spouse. And that creates some major friction in a marriage. I've seen that happen many, many times, where the kids they feel almost more important than their parent, right? It's like, oh, I'm my mom's wallpaper. Well, that's strange. Why are you? Why are you so, why are you trumping the husband or the wife? Again, this is a controversial thing, but I will tell you for sure that I've seen it work. I've seen this way of living works the best for me personally. I've tried it all different ways, and this seems to be the best way. What are your thoughts on that? Again, this is just an opinion based question. Yeah.
So my wife and I have always adopted from the very beginning that when it comes to our family, as far as dynamics and prioritization of relationship, our relationship as husband and wife is primary and the top priority. But I don't necessarily, for me, I've never really thought of the fact that, my iPhone lock screen is a direct reflection of my priorities, but I totally get that. I just like the fact that it's like, oh, it's like, I look here and I'm like, oh, man, I love that memory of that time with this kid and this kid and this kid. And it's like, and I love the different things. Matter of fact, there's a photo that shows up in here that's a picture of me and Leo Laporte. I don't know if you know who Leo Laporte is.
I don't.
Okay, so but he's a podcaster.
Okay.
And do you know? It's been a long time since I've played with this, but anyway, but to your point, yes, for me, I've always prioritized the marriage relationship above the parenting. I mean, you clearly heard it
Yes.
before. I
Yes.
oftentimes have prioritized the business relationship above the parenting role.
Right.
That could be misconstrued. I don't care if it's misconstrued, quite frankly.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not
Yes.
concerned about anybody's perception of me anymore.
Yeah.
That's one of the things when you just completely could care less about your ego and reputation, you can say anything.
Yeah.
One thing I will tell you is I oftentimes will prioritize things, that are related to my business over the years, because it's like one of the things that I want to do is to support the things that will allow you to do as a child of mine that you feel most called to do in this world, whether it's, go to this place, do these things and stuff like that. And for that to happen, this is how currently in this season of my life, this is where that money's coming from. So I'm prioritizing those things. And so, but yeah, the funny thing is so two things. Number one, marriage has always been primary above parenting. And number two, it's always been very clear that Cliff Ravenscraft is the backup parent.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's just that's just what it is.
Yes.
Stephanie is the primary, and I am the default backup parent. In case
That's
of
cool.
in case of emergency, call
Yeah.
dad.
Yes, but because you're the husband, you also pour so much love and support into your wife, so she's able to show up that way
Yeah.
for the kids, right? Her cup is full. You're doing the dishes, right? Because that's her love language.
I do the dishes from time to time.
Yeah. That's her love language. I remember you saying at one time or another.
Yeah, it is.
But
It is her love language.
I don't want to hog up the live stream here, but it's an honor to be here. Thank you for being so present and listening and showing up the way you do. And again, if I can support anybody here in any way, I'm so happy to do so.
Well, plug whatever you got to plug so people can follow you, just in case anybody's watching this replay or on the live stream.
Sure. Well, I have Parenting Room 101. That's a Facebook page. That's my radio show. Also, that's on Instagram, Parenting Room 101, and Christy Sanborn on Facebook. So I love Facebook still. I know it's a lot of people say it's for old people, but I actually really enjoy it.
I'm an old person.
I'm an old person too. I don't mind. I think people still love to watch live videos. I love to just push live, especially when I'm feeling something really heavy on my heart that I want to share. I think that never gets old. And if, again, like you said, if one person watches, maybe nobody watches it, it doesn't matter. It's like this message I know needs to get out there. So, yeah, I love Facebook Live for that reason, just to go on live and just be real. So thanks for listening.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you for joining me today. You're welcome back
My pleasure.
anytime. All right.
Thanks,
many blessings.
Cliff.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
All righty. There we go. We still have 16 minutes guaranteed on this live stream. If anybody is out there watching live, you can simply go over to cliffravenscraft.com/join. There is a Zoom call here. You click that little button and you could be interacting with me. No pressure. I'm just here for anybody who might be out there. Matter of fact, let's see here. You could be feeling stuck in a goal that you were once excited about. You might be wrestling with uncertainty around a major decision in your life. You might be navigating anxiety or self-doubt about what's next. You might be craving a sense of direction, clarity, or peace. We could talk about anything. Matter of fact, let's see here. What if one conversation could reconnect you to the part of you that still knows how to dream? That's a possibility. Here's another one. You're closer than you think. You're not stuck. You're on the edge of breakthrough. Let's lean in together and name what's next. Another one. Don't scroll past the nudge. If something in you is leaning forward, even if you don't know why, follow it. I'm here. The Zoom room is open. cliffravenscraft.com/join. I can't begin to tell you the number of people who have said, Cliff, I've been watching you for days, and I've been wanting to get up the courage to join you live, and here I am. And then all of a sudden, they have this massive breakthrough. And I love it when they say, Cliff, I am the type of person, I've been following you for years. I've never emailed you. I've been seeing you doing these live streams, and not in a million years did I ever think I would join a live stream and have a conversation. But I am so glad I did. Anyway, if you want, I just want to let you know that I'm sitting here for you. And yes, I do mean you. This is an Ask Me Anything session. I have the live Zoom call running. I'm going to be here for a minimum of 14 more minutes. If you want to join me, all you have to do, cliffravenscraft.com/join. And with that, I'm going to let me ask Corey. Corey, do you have anything else you want to bring up? If not, no pressure at all.
No, I'm just sitting here.
No worries.
I'm working and listening, kind of. I'm just doing busy work as I listen to you guys. So it was a good conversation.
Absolutely. Anyone is willing. Anybody is free to sit there and just sit in the Zoom room, hang out as long as you desire. With that, I'm going to mute and wait for the next person to join me. And there's no pressure for anyone to join me. I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to work on my little page. I was getting ready to put a little. Actually, you know what? I am going to just narrate what I'm doing instead of muting myself. But over at cliffravenscraft.com/join, I am working on. I'm going to put a little image right above where it says the Zoom room is open. So I'm going to hit reload.
Cliff, I'm going to drive home, so I'm going to sign off, but I promise to sign back on. I promise to come back on and talk to you guys. And Corey, nice to meet you.
Many blessings, and drive safe. All right,
Thank you.
Let's see here. Live now. Okay, so I have the live now, call to action. Okay, so that's live now. And then I want to add an image. There we go. Let's select the image. Image is new file. Drag and drop that. Upload. Why is that so large? Live. Go back, drag it to the top. Okay, so if I hit let me hit save on that and go to cliffravenscraft.com and click Ask Me Anything. That is still very large. It's larger than I thought it would be. I think it's good though. Zoom room is open. I actually could make the live button also there. So let's look at desktop layout. There's no margin there. Let's take a look at that. Okay. Okay, I just made it smaller. Let's see if that did anything. I like that live button. There is one thing I could do, and I could even bring it down even smaller maybe. Hey, Corey, are you there?
What's up?
Can you go to cliffravenscraft.com/join?
I'm there.
Okay. Do you see the little live button or the little live thing?
The red one?
Yeah, the red one.
Yep.
Okay. So look at that, and then I'm going to hit save. Do me a favor and hit refresh and tell me which size do you think looks better?
I'm kind of torn, but I feel like the small one. I don't know. Just
Yeah, that's what I'm
but
thinking
either
is
one I think is probably going to be fine.
actually absolutely hands down. I just go ahead and hit refresh again. So I just made it the smaller one, and the smaller one clear because if I do the large one, it almost needs to be a button in and of itself, whereas here it's now just an indicator.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like you almost could you'd almost want to, yeah, if you were going to make it a button, then you'd almost have to have, like join live now with the, like you have the other button, but it would have to be that
Yeah,
particular image,
yeah. No,
maybe. I don't know.
yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it right like that. I think that will do it. And then what I love about this is when I'm not live, all I have to do is hit go back here. So I click hide, and then I show and hit save and hit refresh now. And do you see how it like completely takes away that entire section, and it has a whole different message for people who are on the page when it's not live?
Yeah,
Yep, that's
I
it.
do see that. There is a big gap be below the button, though. I mean, for what it's worth.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna fix that.
Huh.
That's the schedule's getting ready to move up there. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. You can mute again. I thank you for your opinion. I just wanted to get some feedback on that button. That was the big thing that I was working on. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to work on where that schedule will be at the bottom. So it used to be at the top, and I'm actually going to hit show. Nope. And I'm going to hide the not live. Okay, so now, okay, so the room is open. By the way, if anybody goes to cliffravenscraft.com/join, you can join me right now. The button is currently there. It says join live Zoom. Okay, so live Zoom room is open. Sometimes I'm deep in conversations. Other times I'm hanging out, mic muted, waiting for the next person to pop in. Either way, that person could be you. And then join, and then it's got the about the recording. And then I would like to take what was the not live session. So that's already saved. So now I can actually hit show. Be part of the next conversation. I can take all of that. Actually, no, what I want to do is I just want to take the schedule and put it there. Okay, so I want to take all of that and just hit copy. Let's go up here. Okay, be a part. Okay, the Zoom room is currently closed, but the next live gathering is on its way. Paste. Sessions are scheduled for the below time. Dates and time. About 10 minutes before the next scheduled session, refresh this page and the link to join will appear. That's good. Every session is a space for curious, blah, 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 blah. What begins with check the dates and mark your calendar. Okay, so now if I go back and get rid of dates and hit delete, hit save, now I should have everything I want. Actually, I just get rid of that. The Zoom is currently closed. Get rid of that. And live now. I think I can take the Wednesday, August 13th off since that is done. So I'll hit save and that's gone. I think I might want to put a little bit of space there. No, I think I'll leave it. Okay, so right now it's got the Zoom is open, join the live session. And then it's got and I'm going to leave that part that used to previously say not live. So be a part of the thing about 10 minutes before the next schedule. Refresh this page and the link to join will appear. And it's live. So I am wondering, yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it like that. I think it will all work perfectly. And now I don't, let's see here. I'm going to rename this, not live, but the actual, I'm going to rename this schedule. And there we go. So it is currently 2:30 and nobody is in queue. So we're going to shut down the Zoom call. All right. The Zoom call is ended. live now. I'm going to hide and hit save. And so if I refresh the page, the part that allows you to join, all of that is completely gone. Oh, that's perfect. I love it. That is exactly what I want it to be. I'm going to close all of that out. And just to let you guys know, I will be here tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And live event marketing. Yeah, do that tomorrow. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Thank you so much. It's been a blast, and I will be back tomorrow. Talk to you soon. Bye.